Alright, welcome to this video in which I will be breaking down this editing style from Nitish Rajput's channel. And this is one clip that I found from his channel that I found very interesting. This is a very unique way of doing these particle-based animations. So this is what I'm going to be breaking down in this video. And let me just go over to my timeline. So what you can do is right click over here and create a new timeline and just keep the default settings. And the next thing that you need to do is make sure to download the assets from the link in the description. Here I have these assets for this particular tutorial. Now, first of all, go ahead and drag in a fusion composition. Now, the length of this composition would be around 5 seconds, 20 milliseconds. So go ahead, make the change, and then right here, and let me just show you the preview of what I came up with. So this is what I came up with. Now, of course, this is lagging a little bit because there's a lot of animation going on, but you get the idea. All right. So right click on this composition that we just dragged in and add in a background. And also go ahead and add in this palace image, connect this with the background, and then this merge node will appear and then just connect it with the media out. Now, using this merge node, and right here you will see the size. So make sure to increase this so this covers the whole screen. 1.55 works for me. So go ahead, add that in. And also, while you have your media in selected, go ahead and press Control Space and search for vignette. Now, right here, you will get this vignette effect, and this will look good so that our background is a little dim, not too bright. Now, you can leave this at default if you want to, or you can change some settings if you want to. But for me, I will just leave this at default. All right, so the next thing we need to do is while you have your merge one selected, go ahead and click on this color corrector. Now from here, we're just going to make subtle adjustments. So in this panel, this color wheel, just slightly move this towards this yellow or orange side, just slightly, don't overdo it. And you will just see a kind of a texture for this orange color. So it matches with the background and the overall theme of the video. But of course, you're welcome to experiment. Now, the next thing we need to do here is go right here to gain and change this to 0.5, somewhere around 0.5. So this is what we need to do. By the way, even if you don't use this color wheel, it won't matter much, but just so that you can get an idea, if you increase this, you will just notice that there is still a difference. So I will just do it in a subtle way, but of course you're welcome to experiment, like I said. But your background is done. Now go back to the main timeline and once again, drag in a fusion composition, increase the length so that this matches with the background. Okay, from this part, you will notice that there was a 3D kind of animation going on in that clip, that sample clip that we are referencing. Now, there are two things that I'm going to combine. I'm going to combine 2D and 3D in the same format. So if I go over to this composition now, what I mean by that is, first of all, let's drag in our first image and also let's drag in our background. Now you can just click on merge two times, just add two merge nodes, connect this one with this, and again, drag another one and connect this one with this. Now, before you connect this to the media out, let's also add in a multi-merge. And this is what I'm going to be using for the text. And these ones, you will notice why I'm going to be using it in this way is so that we can add a background highlight, as you might have seen in this video right here. So here you can see this outline. This is what I'm talking about. And you will see as we move on in this video how I combined 2D just like we did with this, and we're just going to connect this with a image plane 3D later on and then render it out. So bear with me for now and just follow along and I will do my best to explain what exactly is going on. Now, while you have this done, just go ahead and select this multi-merge, press 1 on the keyboard, and from here you can see this is how it looks. Okay, so this media one that we have right here, we need to use this to create an outline for this image. Now for that, let me just unselect this for now and drag in a background. And while you have your background selected, click on this matte control and also go ahead and select matte control and then press Control space and search for delta here. Now right here, what you need to do is connect this, and let me just place this right here. Connect this media in with matte control and then also with the delta keyer. Now while you have your delta keyer selected, actually go over to background and change the green all the way to this green color right here. And in your delta keyer, press 1, and then while you have your delta keyer selected, press 1 and then use this background color, this dropper right here, and drag this on your screen and this will turn green. Now you can just simply connect this with the merge one. Move this right here if you want to. Okay, now we're going to add the outline. So for this, go over to matte, and from here you can change the erode dilate, and here you can see an outline. Now change the soft color to hard color and just change the color to white. Okay, so go back to delta keyer. So I'm going to change the erode dilate settings to 0.005, and this is how it will look. Now let's go back to the multi-merge, select this and press 1, and here you can see this is the outline. Now you can just leave this because now we can just animate this together, and we'll also add the text now. So let me drag in to text nodes. Let me just connect this first one and type in this. Let's go with Montserrat bold and change the size to 0.03. Now, before I connect the second text, let me just add in, while you have your multi-merge selected, just go ahead and click on this image plane 3D. This is what we're going to add in. And also click on this merge 3D and also press Control space and search for render 3D. All right. Now with the render 3D, let's just connect this with the media out. And from here, you will now get this. All right. Now go over to the background and you will notice we have this black color right here. So you can just change the alpha to 0 and this will be gone. Now you might be thinking why I did it in this way specifically is simply so that I can easily view this right here and won't have to worry too much about the 3D aspect of it. Otherwise, we can always mess up our 2D nodes when we are changing some things right here. For example, this outline, if I did it in a 3D format, it might have been difficult to get it accurate. So this is why I did it in a 2D format. But of course, you're welcome to try it in 3D as well. You can just simply use image plane 3D nodes if you want to. But for me, personally, I found it this way to be more easier compared to just doing it in 3D. But now, once we have everything done, we can just simply use this image plane 3D to position this. So right here in the image plane 3D, let's go over to transform. And let me just change the Z to 1.16. Actually, I mean 1.6. All right. And let me just position this to 0.05 as well. So somewhere around here. And now we can position our text. So let's go back to the original, or you can say the first one, the multi-merge one that we had. You can just press 1 on the keyboard and this will open up on this preview panel. Right here, you can position your text. Make sure the text is selected and you can now position this right here. And you can always see how it looks right here in the render panel. So let's also connect our second text. But before I do that, let me copy these settings from here, paste them in the text 2 and connect this right here. Right. So right here, I'm just going to paste this text, move this down and change this size to 0.04. And also from bold, I'm going to change this to black. So if we zoom in, let me just position this right here. And this is how it looks. Now I'm going to select the text one and press Control space, search for glow, and let's change the glow size to 20. And again, I'm just going to press Control space while I have this text 2 selected and also add a glow and use the same settings. So 20 and 20. So right here we have the first 100% done. And we're also going to do the same thing for the second image that we have. But before we do that, let me go over and do some animation. So right here at 20, I'm going to create a keyframe at Z and also at X. And let's also do Y just in case, but we're just going to use this translation for now. We won't be using rotation. And let's go over to 0. Okay, so right here at 0, I'm just going to change this to Z to 1.95 and the X to minus 0.4. So if we play this, this is how it looks. All right, so right here at 20, we can also do the animation for text. So let's go over at 40, select text one and go right here in the write on effect, create a keyframe, and then at 20, let's change this to 0. And then right here at 45, let's go over to text 2, create a keyframe at write on, and then at 30, let's change this to 0. So if you play this now, this is how it will look. Right here at 20, when we have this text coming in, we also need some more animation for this image. Make sure you are at image plane, and then right here, let's change this to 0.06. This is for the X, and the Y, we're going to change this to minus 0.01. And then the Z, we're just going to go with 1.55. So if we play this whole thing now, you will see this is how the animation comes in, and then we have some more animation going on. Now, right here, we're going to add the second image underneath this image that we have. So we need to start that animation of the second image right here. But we also need to, first of all, animate this image that we already have right here. So right here from 50 till the 70th keyframe at 70, you can go ahead and make some more changes. All right, so let's change the 0 to minus 0.15, and let's change the Y to minus 0.06, and let's change this Z to 1.49. All right, so we can see that we have this animation, and now we will reveal the other image, but you will notice that the text is going outside now. So for this, we simply need to just go over to our text right here and manually do some more keyframes. So let's go over here at 50. Then first of all, let's select text one, go over to layout and create a keyframe at center. Do the same thing for text 2, create a keyframe at center, right here at 50, then right here at 70. First of all, let's go ahead and change our text 1. So we can just drag the X and Y from here and position this right here. Do the same thing for the text 2, and we can see how this looks now. All right, so let's go ahead and add in our second image now. So drag this image right here, and we're going to repeat the same process just like we did before. I'm going to quickly do this now. So let me just add this in, and let's also add in a background for this. Set the alpha to 0, add to merge nodes. First merge node, I'm just going to, actually, I'm just going to now add this background in, add this green in, add in this matte control right here, and then let's add in delta here, add this right here, connect this media into matte control, and let's also connect this with the delta key. Now go over to this icon right here and drag this right here. Now you can just connect this to the merge node. And just like we did before, go right here to the matte, and from here let's change this to 0.05, change this to hard color, and then change this to white. So yeah, both we have at 0.00005. Now again, let's drag in our image and connect this with the merge 3. And let me just type 1 here. So here you can see this is how it looks. And again, let's add in this multi-merge, make sure this is at the screen 1. And now we're going to simply do one thing. We can just simply copy the text from here. See, the text along with the glow, just go ahead, Control C, and then right here, make sure nothing is selected, press Control V, and here you go. Now you can connect both of them right here. But this time go over to them and just remove the keyframes that we had right here. So let's just remove them from the layout. And also go over to the right on and remove this. Make sure this is set at 1. All right. But here you will notice that they are not in the correct positioning. So what we can do right here is just do it manually like this. And I'm just simply going to change the text from here. Let me drag this right here. In the second text, let me write this. Okay, so here we go. We have this done as well. Let's go ahead and add this with a image plane 3D as well. And now for this image plane 3D, let me just move this up a little bit and we can just select all of them, move them on the side a little bit. So here we can just connect this with the merge 3D. Okay, so while you have this selected, go over at 70 frames and in the transform, let's change this X to 0.18 and also create a keyframe. And also for the X, let's change this to minus 0.12 and the Z to 1.4. Let me just set this once again, 0.18, and there you go. So now we will also do the animation. Right here, you will notice that we have this image, the first image, and we need to move the second image from behind it. We also need to hide it before we start the animation from here. So the way we can do that is we can simply just select our image plane 3D, then right here at 50, you can just use this X to move this right behind it. Now, one more thing you need to do is go over to the material, and from here you can just create a keyframe at maybe around 50. Let's just create a keyframe at opacity, and then right here at, let's say, 45. Let's change this to 0. So from here, this is how it will look. But of course, we can also do the animation for the text as well. So for this, you can just simply go over to text 1, and then from here do the same thing that we did before. Let's go over at, let's say, 65 and start our animation for the right on for the first text up till, let's say, 80. And then from 70, let's do this for the second text up till 85. So now if we play this, here you will see this is how it will look. But of course, what you can do is you can change the position of this. For example, you want to match it with the text right here. You can just simply go over to the layout and do the adjustments yourself. So maybe somewhere around here looks it's fine for me. Let me do this for the second text as well. So this is the main thing for this animation. We have both the images in and we have the main animation done. Now, if you go back to the main timeline, and this is how the whole thing will look. All right, perfect. Now, the next thing is how to capture it in a way that we can add it in a article. So for example, right here, you will notice that here, this went in and was a part of this whole article animation. So this is the second part that we're going to do now. All right, now let's start the second part. So for this, let's just simply drag in a fusion composition. And again, this is going to be of the same length. So you can just position this above your composition and drag this so that this fits in the size. Then you can drag this right here besides this animation that we have right here, this composition, you can just drag this right here. Then before you do anything, what you need to do is go right here at where this is stopping, or you can say ending. Then go over to your color corrector and right click and click on grab still. Now this will create this image that you can right click and click on export, and this will give you the option for saving this as an image. So go ahead, save this as an image. Now I've already done that, so let me just drag that image in. So here I have this image right here, and if we just drag this on our timeline, you will notice that this will be just a still image. So we're going to use this in this composition right here. So go ahead, right click and open this in Fusion page, and right here drag in your image that you exported. Then click on image plane 3D, merge 3D, and then render 3D. Connect this with the media out. And this time we're just going to simply use this whole thing. Okay, so one more thing we need to do is there is also this newspaper article image. So what we can do is drag this in. Again, connect this with the image plane 3D and then connect this with the merge 3D. Now in the image plane 3D, what you can do is change the size of this. So go right here to transform, and from here you can increase the scale. So maybe somewhere around 2.5. Actually, let's just go with 2. You can also change the rotation for this. Okay, so I'm just going to leave the X at 0, but let's change the Y to, let's say, 12. Now let's also position them. So this one right here is going to be in the background, but this one we need to move it a little bit upwards, and also we need to change the rotation for this to 12 as well. But this time go over to this Z in the translation and just add 0.01. And this will be above this now. Now you can just simply use this X and Y to position this. And of course, you also need to decrease the scale for this. So let me just go with 0.8, and actually let's go with 0.85. So this is just going to be some manual adjustment. And you can see that our page of this article image or the newspaper image is going in this direction. So what you can do is just use the X to lower this a little bit, and then also use this Z to position this slightly in a different way. But of course, that's up to you. I'm just going to slightly do this to minus 0.2, then use this Y right here. Okay, so these are the settings that I'm going with, but of course you're free to position this however you see fit. Now the next thing is we need to add in a text. So for this text, I'm just going to connect this with the, okay, so you need to drag in a 3D text if you want to connect this with the merge 3D. So make sure you do that. And in the 3D text, I'm just going to paste in this article headline, you can say. And again, I'm going to use the Montserrat add bold, but this time let's change the size to 0.1. And actually, let's go even lower. Let's go with 0.005. And let's go over to transform. And from here, let's go with 0.01. Okay, so it's not visible. Let's just increase the size a little bit. All right. And this will be at 0.045, but of course, we might change this a little bit more. First of all, let's change the Y rotation to 12 and increase this a little bit. Okay, so let's go over to transform now and change this to 0.03. Okay, this looks good at 0.03. Now you can just use the X and Y to position this. And of course, let's change the font. So I'm just going to just use any dark color from here. And again, let me just position this a little bit and use the Z just like we did before. Okay, so the next thing is to add in this shape, connect this with the merge. And for the shape, just unselect the lock width and height. And of course, let me just go over to material and also change the color from here. And let's go back to the controls. And from here, let's increase the height to 0.01 and increase the width to, let's say, 1.4. And then use the X and Y to position this. And let's also change this to y to 12. Use the z at 0.03. Okay, so 0.02 works. And let me go back and decrease the width for this. So somewhere around here, and then somewhere around here. Actually, let's go back and change the height even further, so 0.005. Now let me adjust the text according to this right here. Go back to this and again decrease the width even further. And also I'm going to use the Z to change this to minus 0.4. And of course, you can also adjust the image now according to this. So let's go with minus 0.4. And for the text as well, let's go with minus 0.4. All right. Now, one last thing that we need to add is this text. Connect this with the merge. Actually, we need to add a image plane 3D and then connect it with the merge. And for this one as well, let's go with 12 at rotation, then change this to 0.01. Move this right here. And you can reduce the scale for this. And I think we should go over to the image and reduce the scale for this as well, even further. So maybe something like this. Then you can use the X to position this now. All right. Now in the image plane 3D for the article that we have, we need to change it so that this adjusts, or you can say matches with the background. So now you have your image plane 3D selected. In the controls, go over to blend mode and from here change the software to darken. And here you will see, so it looks like this is part of the article now, or the newspaper now. Now, while you have your Merge 3D one selected, press Control Space and search for Transform 3D. Make sure this is connected, and we're going to go over to 10, create keyframes at X, Y, Z, and even in the rotation, let's do just in case. And then at 0, we're going to increase it so that this fits in the whole screen. Now, the way we can do that is by using the Z and also the Y. So something like this. And let's also position the X now. So something like this. And this is just manual adjustment. You need to do this on your own. Maybe it might be different for you a little bit, depending on how you positioned it in the first place. So let me just do it. Okay, perfect. Now, while you have this image selected, the still image that we had, you can go ahead and add in this color corrector and change the saturation to 0. And this will get this black and white effect. So here you can see this is how it looks now. Now from 10 to 40, let me go over to the transform once again. And from here, let's create keyframes for all of them. And let's start some animation for the text right here. So for this, let's go over to our text. And from here, maybe at 30. Or let's go over at 30. Go over to shading, click on opacity, go over at 0, change this to 0, go over to text, and then at 35, let's create a right on keyframe at right on, and then at 10, let's change this to 0. Let's see how this looks. Perfect. Now let's also animate our shape 3D. At 40, let's go over at controls, create a keyframe at width, then at 10, let's change this to 0. So if we play the whole thing now, all right, so from here, from 40, we're going to go over at 50 and then move this in. So we can use the Z axis from here to move this in. and use the Y to move this up a little bit, and then use the maybe the X and the Y. Okay, so let's just not do it for the X and the Y for now. Let's just go with 40, 50 for here, and then go all the way to the end. And let's increase this a little bit more, the Z, and then use the X and the Y a little bit. So this is how it will look. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add in a highlight for our text. For this, you can simply use this shape 3D again, connect this with the merge 3D, and let's go over to materials first and change the blue to 0 so that we can have this yellow color, and then go over to controls. Actually, let's go over to transform and change the Y to 12 in the rotation, and let's go ahead and change the Z to 0.01. Now go over to controls, unselect lock width and height, and you can reduce the height from here. And let's move this down. Again, reduce the height to one line right here, maybe at 0.03, and then also the width. Then use the transform to position this where you want to highlight text. So maybe around here works for me. Okay, perfect. Now you can also go over to the blend mode and change the software to darken. And this is how it will look. All right, so now for the animation, let's go ahead and add in this rectangle mask, connect this with the shape 3D, and in the rectangle, increase the width so that this covers the main part of our highlight. Then go over at, let's say, 80 frames, create a keyframe at center, then over here at 60, let's use the X and move this out of the screen. So if you play this, here you can see this is how it looks. So we have everything done. And if we play this now in the main timeline, this is how it will look. And you can also see the transition now. Okay, so right here, you will notice that this is a little bit different. So we can manually adjust this. So right here, where we have this highlight, let's start the zoom in process from here. So maybe around this position, right where we have this text done, or maybe right here at 16, right here where we have this text coming in, you can just add the zoom in and increase this right here to maybe 1.1. Now let's decrease this a little bit more. So let's see. Perfect. So here you can see it will give you this nice effect. It will be a good transition. And we have the main thing done. Now the final part is to add some particles. So for the particles, let's go ahead add in a fusion comp. Right click, open in Fusion page, and add in this P emitter and P renderer. In the P emitter, go over to regions and change this to all. Then in the style, change this to blob right here. And in the size controls, change this to 0.3. And go over to controls. And from here, let's change this number to 1 and change the distribution to randomly distributed. In the velocity, let's change this to 0.008. And then the angle, let's change this to 90. And the angle variance, let's change this to 50. So if we play this now, here you can see this is how it will look. Now you can go back to the main timeline and you can see our particles also coming in. Perfect. Now you can copy this for this composition as well. But for this one, I would recommend to put this underneath our composition. So this is how it will look. But of course, you're welcome to add anything else beneath this composition that we have as well. So this was it for this video. I hope you found this video useful and I will see you in the next one.